round number 9 here at Grand Prix Minneapolis. Maria Bartholdi joined by Paulo Vitor Damaderosa here in the booth. And we are in extra turns here as we head to the first round of day 2 here. Ken Yukihiro versus Bob Whalen, both currently undefeated here in the room, as is everybody sitting down in our feature match area. So these players will be back to draft tomorrow morning, but first things first, playing one more round with our sealed builds.
Yeah, and Ken Yukihiro playing this blue-green deck with 2 transmogrifying ones, so pretty good at that. And Bob Whalen playing black-white with a very greedy red splash.
Oh, really?
In my opinion, yeah. He has 1 Forsaken Sanctuary as a fixer, which is the black-white duo land, and his red sources are 3 mountains.
Okay.
And his red cards are a Lightning Strike, like, okay, that's good. A Spit Flame, that's pretty good too. A Shock,
okay.
Like, well, I don't know if I want to splash that. And a Dragon Egg.
Oh, wow.
Which is, I understand it's there to return the Spit Flame.
Yes.
Right? It even works twice, depending on how you do it. 1 for your egg and 1 for the dragon itself. But how are you going to get 2 red mana to do that?
Well, he's already got 1 right here, so doing it on hard mode. Wow.
Well, that's the only mode he can do it. He doesn't have any fixing.
There's no easy mode here. Skymark's Bloodletter, though, is going to be his first creature.
Yeah, as they say, the best fixing in Magic is luck.
That's true.
So if you just draw your mountain, that's going to work.
There
if you draw 2 mountains, you can return you.
Look at how good I am at fixing. There it was in my opening hand.
Yeah. But the rest of his deck does look pretty good. And obviously the red removal spells are good if you get the red mana. And he has Bone Dragon as well.
Okay.
He has, Bugler, 2 Pegasus Coursers, Luminous Bonds, 2 Gallant Cavalry. So his deck is good.
There's a look at Bone Dragon on your screen. We've seen it a couple of times in the feature match area this weekend. A great recursive threat.
Yeah, we saw it being played against Millstone, which is really awkward for the Millstone person.
That was a bit unfortunate for our player on Mill.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ken Yukihiro over here doing the blue-green thing. Creatures, some that fly, Snapping Drake, Sky Scanner, Druid of the Cowl, all swinging in, and Hired Blade is going to flash in. Ha-ha! The Hired Assassin does his job blocking Druid of the Cowl.
Yeah, it's probably the first time I've ever seen that guy block something and not die.
And not die.
It usually, like, you're so happy they attack their 4/3 into it, and you're like, gotcha.
Oh, yes.
And now you actually get your 3/2. And yeah, Ken Yukihiro seems to be heavily flooded.
Yes.
I don't think he actually has a spell.
A lot of lands in play, and at least a few more in hand that I can see from what he's shuffling around there.
Yeah, and Ken Yukihiro is a player that kind of exploded into the scene lately. He's been playing for a very long time. I remember him like many, many years ago, and he was, just another player. And then eventually he started doing well and well and well, and it's like, well, this guy actually top 8s a PT every year now.
Yes.
And it's actually been pretty impressive. He's been doing so well.
Snapping Drake and Sky Scanner head to the red zone for Yukihiro, in for 4. Bob Whalen, life total already pretty low, as is Ken Yukihiro, but here's that first copy of the Transmogrifying Wand, and in fact is going to upgrade the Sky Scanner.
Yeah, it is a big upgrade against a board of 3/2 and 2/1.
That's true. All right, there's his Ox.
Yeah, and I do find the attack with the Bloodletter kind of weird, in the sense that you're trading 2 damage for 4.
Right.
At any point, because if the Bloodletter sits back at any point, the Sky Scanner can't attack, and the Drake, obviously can, but.
All right, so the Ox is going to fall to the Spit Flame that we knew Bob Whalen had in his deck, enabling kind of a big swing here. Child of Night allowed to get in as well to gain Bob some life back.
Yeah, and that is a huge swing here. The
7.
life total, yeah. Well, and he gained 2 life as well.
Exactly. Skyrider Patrol for Ken.
Yeah, he has 2 of those, which is pretty good.
I love that card.
Oh yeah, it's excellent. All the gold cards are pretty good, I think.
Gonna beef up the Snapping Drake here. And 1 mana left open for that Transmogrifying Wand too.
Yeah, does he want to... Oh, he wants to make the 3/2 into a 2/4?
Okay.
That is usually an upgrade. I would rather have a 2/4 than a 3/2 most of the time.
True.
But when you're faced with a 2/3 and a 4/3, then, well, making it into a 2/4 actually means he can't profitably attack. And it's good that you can do things like that because you still have another charge. So if your opponent does play a dragon of some sort, yeah, you can just shrink that one too.
And Ken's got another copy in his deck if things start to really go bad.
That is true, yeah. It's also quite good with bounce. If you can somehow bounce it, then you replay it. What happened?
Oh, he's just changing the dice.
For another identical one? Or
No, it was it was a smaller die.
Oh, okay.
Cleansing Nova hiding out in Bob Whalen's hand, by the way. No 2 white available.
Oh, yeah, and it's not clear if he even wants to play it at this point. He could play it as just a disenchant, get rid of the transmogrifying wand.
Strangling Spores will be good enough here to take down that Snapping Drake. Ooh. All right, so Child of Night and the Ox get in, but Skyrider Patrol is able to eat the Skymarch Bloodletter. Ken Yukihiro at 1 life here.
Yeah, not a great spot, that's for sure.
Dwindle on the Ox that he made.
And that was such a defeated Dwindle if I've ever seen
so
one.
Sad.
I was like, oh, yeah, I'll play this.
Nobody wants to dwindle a 2/4.
And this is the worst, like, it's one of the worst feelings in Magic when your opponent is short on land. So they're not even doing anything, but you were super flooded. And they have 5 cards in hand, and you just know, like, well, at some point they'll draw a land, and then they'll play 5 spells in a row, and I'm not going to draw 5 spells in, like...
No!
So it's like, well, I had all this chance to punish them, but I didn't because I drew so many lands, so it's one of the unfortunate situations in Magic.
Bob Whalen there taking the first game over Ken Yukihiro. And players are going to head to their sideboards here. Yeah, hopefully we'll get a better game too here for Ken, who, as you mentioned, was a bit flooded. But before we do, let's take a look at some fact or fiction. All right, Gravedigger is up this time. This card has been good every time it's been printed, and that includes M19. Fact or fiction?
Fact, I'd say fact. It's not as good as it used to be because, you know, previously you had formats where a 2/2 was just worth a card.
Sure.
So you played it for 4 mana, then you got a card back, and then you also get a 2/2 that is gonna beat something else in a fight or trade with something else that's good. Nowadays, creatures are better, so having a 2/2 isn't necessarily worth a card, but it's still worth 1.5 cards. You get a card back and you get a 2/2, and that's a good deal. I can't imagine ever coding Gravedigger from my black deck, but I'm not gonna be splashing for Gravedigger either, and I'm not gonna be like, well, I opened 2 Gravediggers, I have to be black with this spool.
Right.
No, but it's still a good card.
How many times do you think it's been printed?
Oh, I'm going to get... How many different sets?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess 6.
22 different printings.
Wait,
here.
what? There aren't even 22 sets or something.
Look at all these different Gravediggers.
Wow, I am looking at them. There are a lot of Gravediggers.
I didn't know it went back so far. That's
no,
pretty
I got
cool.
pretty close.
Wow, awesome. So, all right, next fact or fiction. Let's take a look. Isareth, the Awakener. No human has ever successfully memorized the rules text on this. Ooh, I didn't read it. Okay. Fact or fiction? Let me know, and I'll try and recreate it.
I'm going to say fiction. I'm pretty sure some people could recite the text.
Okay, exactly. I'm going to try. I'm looking at you, so you know I'm not cheating.
Okay.
Death Touch. When Isareth the Awakener attacks...
Well, how harsh are we trying to be?
I don't know.
Because it's whenever and not when.
Oh,
so
dang
did you already lose?
Maybe I did. Rich probably says, yeah, you already lost. I was so close.
Well, you said one word and it was wrong.
Yeah, but it was almost the right word.
It's almost like you couldn't be more wrong.
I would have not had it perfectly. I looked again. It's not going to be close. I mean, it was going to be, right legally, but
maybe you were right in spirit.
In spirit,
if
I
not
was
in the letter
right.
of the,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably fact. Although, who knows what Rich memorizes?
Yeah, I'm sure some people know. We were just talking about, like, we had a group of players between the rounds, and we're talking about the old charms.
Yeah.
Were you around when the original charms, like invasion ones, not
No.
the original ones, the 3-color ones?
No.
And we're like, well, do you remember what Travis charm is? And people are like, I have absolutely no idea. But I'm sure that some people just know all those cards.
Some people's minds are very good for retaining information from old sets too. I just, as soon as the set is gone, it kind of leaves my brain so I can make new room for the new set because I have to know so much about the cards.
That makes sense. I mean, why would you have to know what Travis charm is? It wasn't even good when it was in Standard. It's certainly not good in Vintage, where it is now. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. just so you know, one of the abilities is loot. You can choose one of three, and it's a 3-mana card. It's a banned card.
Okay.
And one of your options is loot. So how far we've come.
Yes.
If, now you have a Zorius Charm. It's just a 2-mana card, 2 colors. You just straight draw a card.
Just draw it.
So the charms have gotten better with time.
Ken Yukihiro, Bob Whalen, shuffling up here for game number 2 here in extra turns. That means round 9 here of day number 1. So these players have qualified already for day number 2, but we're playing another round today with our sealed deck, so we don't have to do that tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and this is the bad 8-1, right? Because obviously 8-1 and 8-1, it's always 8-1. But if you're 8-0 and you lose your last round, you're like, this tournament's stupid. You're really upset. You're like, I don't even want to have dinner. I'm just gonna go to bed and yeah, drowning my sorrows.
Yeah.
And then if you start 0-1 and you end up 8-1, you're like the happiest person on the planet.
Absolutely.
And it's the same record.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting how we humans work.
That's very true. I remember the first GP I day 2'd, I started out 0-2.
Oh, so you got the good day 2.
Yeah.
The good X2.
Yeah. Bob Whalen going to take a mulligan here. Ken Yukihiro happy with the 7. So as we look forward to kind of like what we're going to see tomorrow, Paulo, do you think people are going to be fighting over your favorite deck, white-red aggressive?
I don't think so. Not more so than the deck can support it anyway, because you can have 2 red-white drafters. It's not like you need to be the only one. But I don't think it's not a consensus that it's the best deck. I don't think. At least from the people I've talked to, some people are like, I prefer green-white. Some people are like, I prefer blue-black. So that's already all colors that are covered there.
Well, that's a good sign of a format, right?
For sure, yeah. So it's not like people will be forcing red-white. I also don't think it's enough better than the other archetypes that I would force it.
Sure.
I'm strongly against forcing a draft in general. I'm way more of a go-with-the-flow kind of person, so I would rather be in the open combination than the combinations that I consider best, because draft is kind of self-correcting anyway. Like, if a color is the weakest, then that means only one person is going to be in it, and therefore you get all the good cards. So it kind of self-corrects in that way. So I don't like having strong opinions to begin with. So I think, yeah, some people will fight for the red-white cards, but I don't think we're going to see a sea of red-white or anything like that.
Ken Yukihiro, 4 Pro Tour top 8s. By the way, we were talking about how well he's done recently at a bunch of tournaments. Rivals of Ixalan, the latest Pro Tour top 8. 8 Grand Prix top 8s with a win in Singapore in 2013.
Yeah, that's pretty close to a Hall of Fame resume.
Yes.
Like, I think, you could conceivably vote for him already. And if he gets another top 8, he'll almost definitely make it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And he's got great glasses, too.
Oh, I didn't actually pay
Ken,
attention
lean
to
back,
those.
lean back. I like his round frames. Marauder's Axe is going to kick things off here for Ken Yukihiro. He's also known as one of the jokesters on the Japanese team Musashi.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a video piece at one of the Pro Tours that kind of highlighted the team, and everyone's like, oh, he's always making jokes. He's a super funny guy and really, really just great to be around.
That's nice. I see he also changed his colors.
Ah.
So he took out the green, and he added white. What does he have in white?
Avon Wind Mage, here was the play last turn from Ken Yukihiro. This time it's going to be a Sky Scanner, drawing a card, heading to the skies. Little 1 power. There's a look. Stylin'. Avon Wind Mage. Look at this bird. Nice dress.
Now I just feel bad with my non-round glasses.
Yeah, sorry, Bob. Your glasses are great, too.
Yeah, and Bob, too. Yeah.
All right, so no play yet for Bob Whalen. Avon Wind Mage, Sky Scanner both getting in. No equip yet of the Marauder's Axe because we've got something better to do, and that's play yet another flyer here. The Snapping Drake. And Invoke the Divine from Bob Whalen is going to take care of that axe and gain him 4 life, but no creatures in play.
This is a very interesting transformation because we've seen this already in the feature match where players started red-white and then they morphed into blue-green. But we had a clear reason for that. We saw that, they had a bunch of 3-1s, their opponent had a bunch of tokens and 1-3s. They're like, well, I can't win with this aggressive deck. I'll morph into this more controlish deck with millstones. But this is not what happened with Ken Yukihiro.
No.
It's not like his cards got outclassed by something specific. He just drew 7 lands to his opponent's 3 or whatever, 4. Yeah. And that is mostly why he lost. So I would be very interested in, figuring out why he actually made the swap. Does he just think this blue white deck is better against everyone and he misbuilt the first time around?
Sure.
Is this something that...
Could be.
Yeah, because, you build your deck, you submit, and then you talk to your friend, and you're like, well, maybe I should have been blue-eyed, so you just change against everybody. Because I didn't see anything from Bob Whalen's deck that would prompt this switch by itself.
Agree. Cleansing Nova here is going to clean up the work that Ken Yukihiro had going from 3 creatures hit the bin. After that, Militia Bugler, though, is going to manage to find a Johnny's Pride Mate here for Yukihiro. Back over to Whalen, who was biding his time there to cast that Cleansing Nova and clean up the board. Pegasus Courser, the follow-up play for him.
Yeah, and we see one of the Transmogrifying ones in Yukihiro's hand. Maybe even 2. Those are still in his deck, even after the color shift.
Oh, yeah. I think I see both of them. He's ready to go to Hogwarts. All right, there's the Pride Mate, and there is the Oresco Swiftclaw for Ken Yukihiro. And Lightning Strike will take care of the Pride Mate in case any life gain shenanigans happen.
Yeah, perhaps we're kind of a reverse situation where now Bob is the one full of lands and Ken Yukihiro is the one struggling. But at some point, Ken will draw a 5th land and then, he'll play a barrage of spells.
Pegasus Courser getting in.
That's a brave attack. Are we going to see like 2 2/2s? Oh, okay, that also works.
Blood Divination. Here we have a cost to divinate in black, and that is sacrificing a creature.
Yeah, Blood Divination, a card that's very interesting with a lot of creatures that have sacrificing synergy, like Dragonag, which he's playing in his deck.
Right.
Doom Dissenter, Resembling Skeleton. I don't believe he actually has any of those, just the Dragonag. And Bone Dragon is kind of like if you're going very deep. It is a synergy.
Hired Blade on the flash in from Bob will block that Militia Bugler. Oresco Swiftclaw able to get in a little bit of damage. And here's a Sift for Ken Yukihiro.
Yeah, the good Blood Divination.
Yeah. Oh, and there's land number 5 for Ken. I'm just going to play Blood Divination in my black deck, just even if I have to sacrifice a good creature or an okay creature at the very least.
You always play it?
I think so. Am I wrong?
I don't usually like it if you're not actually sacrificing something that you want to sacrifice. Like, obviously, if you have, Sky Scanners, you don't necessarily gain anything by sacrificing them, but you already got something. Like Goblin Instigator, you get a token. So then I'm fine playing it. But if I just have a regular deck where I'm sacrificing... If I expect to sacrifice a 2/2, I already don't like it.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. So in the average black deck, I think you have enough synergy to just play it. But there are definitely decks that don't.
Skymarch Bloodletter for Bob Whalen here will drain Ken Yukihiro and block this Oresco Swiftclaw on the attack. Transmogrifying Wand and another Swiftclaw for Ken.
Yeah, and then Bob Whalen, now he already knows there are 2 ones, and there's also Marauder's Axe. So if he has other artifact removal in his sideboard, he'll probably bring it in. He already has the Invoke the Divine, though. Yeah.
And already used the Invoke the Divine on the Axe.
Yeah, this is the worst situation where your opponent, you have so much removal in your hand, but all your opponent has is bad cards. It's a very first world problem. You're like, I don't want to spend this premium Lich's Caress on your 3/1.
No.
But what are you going to do? Just die to it? And he can't even really Luminous Bonds anything because there's a Transmogrifying 1 that would just turn it into a 2/4.
Yep. Oresco Swiftclaw keeps getting in there, chipping in for another 3 here.
Do you think we have 6 Ox tokens in the feature match area?
Ooh, great question. Because here's another Transmogrifying Wand. We'll find out soon enough, potentially. Scholar of Stars going to draw a card 2 for Ken. One of my favorite pieces of art in the set.
Oh yeah, it is nice.
Very pretty. Did you see the Blood Moon last night?
No, I didn't.
Not the one in Magic, the one that was out in real world. Yeah, it was.
It was here?
You
could say from here.
Everywhere.
Well, not everywhere.
Not in a cave. Yeah, it didn't look as impressive here as it did some places, but it's still pretty cool. Child of Night.
What is a blood moon in real life?
Just when the moon's really big and red. I don't know.
I don't think it's that. I really don't. I'm pretty sure it has to do something to do with the position of the moon in relation to the sun and the earth.
This is why we do magic for a living.
Instead of
and
like
astronomy.
Yeah. I should know that. I actually studied a year of astronomy. I know what a blue moon is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's a blue moon?
It's when you have, it's not really a technical term. It's I believe when you have the second full moon in a month.
Oh, okay. Yes, that would make sense.
Yeah.
With the saying.
Yeah.
1 ox in play for Ken. Gearsmith Prodigy here.
Oh, the card we're talking about. And it's probably the best it's ever been by immediately becoming
an
a
ox.
2/4.
Yep. Just a slight upgrade, turning it into a 2/4. Oh, Ken Yukihiro and his ox army.
Oh, yeah, that's another card that doesn't match up well against a 2/4. So there is a Child of Night in play already, and there is a Lich's Caress in Bob Whalen's hand, so he could just cast the Lich's Caress. But Ken Yukihiro has 4 charges to turn that Prime Mage into a 2/4 if he wants to.
A pretty interesting game so far, at the very least unusual, given these 2 wands in play from what we've seen all day today.
Oh yeah, for sure. And, you know, really anyone can win from here, but Ken does look like he's in a much better position. Because, you know, it will take Bob 5 good creatures to top deck to be able to beat those ones. But it's possible that, you know, he just stalls the game long enough. Obviously, when Ken starts giving his opponent Oxas, then he can't really attack either.
Right. And here we're going to ensure that there's no life gain from that Child of Night with a Luminous Bonds from Ken Yukihiro, enabling this attack with 2 of these Oxes getting in there. They are not fording any rivers today. They are just attacking. The Johnny's Pride Mate. We do have other ways to gain life in our hand for Bob Whalen, but Transmogrifying Wand can always shrink it back down.
Yeah, at least that will give him, you know, a 2/4 blocker, which stops one of the attackers. And given that the Lich's Caress can stop the other one, he'll actually bring the game back to parity, except his opponent will have those 2 charges, 3 charges still. And he'll have, basically nothing else. But
back over to Bob Whalen's turn here. Tapping 5.
does he have a Bone Dragon in hand? He could just play the Bone Dragon because, you know, Transmogrifying Wand, it looks like it should exile, right? Because it's turning the creature into something else.
Yeah.
So you would think it exiles flavor-wise, but it doesn't actually do that. It just puts it in the graveyard, so you can bring it back.
And I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Bob does have enough creatures to bring the Bone Dragon back again, but this is just going to be a slow process.
Yeah, I think it's just cards that you have to exile. It doesn't even have to be creatures.
Nope, just anything, yeah.
So he does have 7 already.
Diamond Mare for Ken Yukihiro. Johnny's Pride Mate was able to get in there. A Luminous Bonds locked down 1 of Ken Yukihiro's Oxen.
Yeah, that Luminous Bond was kind of a waste.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I guess I'll make you use a charge off your wand.
Yeah, 3 mana, remove a charge, and I guess gain 2 life. You know, because the creature didn't attack that turn since it's a new Ox. But I would rather have saved Luminous Bonds for a more important creature, which you'd, you know, actually.
So Ken Yukihiro turning that Diamond Mare into an Ox as well. Now it's just down to 2 charge counters, so maybe Bob Whalen is like, hey, I'm just going to wait this out.
Yeah, I think Ken Yukihiro is maybe being a little bit too liberal with his charge counters. I don't feel like turning that Diamond Mare into a Nox actually accomplished anything. And he doesn't have infinite charges, you know, he only has 2 left. And there's a decent chance he might have to use one on that Pride Mage. If Bob Whalen plays, you know, any sort of life gain card is already a 4/4, then Ken can't attack through it anymore. And he only threatens to grow more. So he doesn't have a lot of charges left. He's also drawing a bunch of lands.
Gallant Cavalry adds a couple of 2/2 to Bob Whalen's side of the board as well. Can't get through those Oxen from Ken Yukihiro. There's a look at Gallant Cavalry, which I, at the very beginning of M19, kept thinking was a sorcery speed spell and not a creature that created another white knight based on Call the Cavalry from Dominaria. And if you say Gallant Cavalry kind of fast enough, it sounds like Call the Cavalry.
It is better than Call the Cavalry. Because you get the Gravedigger it back and Macabre and you can bounce it.
I had even, something like an Aven Wind Mage in play and then play Gallant Cavalry and think that I had a trigger. No.
Did you attack into like a 3/3?
Yeah.
And just chump attack? The famous chump attack? I love the chump attack.
Oh, it's classic. Yukihiro here attacking in with both of the Oxen here this turn.
Yeah, Yukihiro has a Rido's Charge, I think. But I think Bob also has one.
I believe that he does.
Which is awkward because this type of spell usually like kind of cancels each other if you both have it, but since it's +2/+1, it doesn't really. So creatures can still, like, the combat is still going to be different if both players cast them. But that was a very quick no blocks. Like, I don't know. I would be tempted to just block one and at least force the issue here. Because what are you going to do, never block? Like, I don't see how that's accomplishing much. You just have to block next turn. So I guess if you play Blunt Dragon, they use the 1, you get a 2/4. So that's a little bit better.
All right, so here's an attack from Bob Whalen, a Johnny's Pride made Gallant Cavalry, and the Night Token getting in, and here's Inspired Charge from Bob Whalen, pumping up the entire team.
Yes, Inspired Charge, sorry.
I know what you meant.
Yeah, the charge.
+2/+1 until end of turn.
Yeah, now Ken needs to draw a creature.
He is at 2 life to Bob Whalen's 7. And Ken Yukihiro still attacking in. We got a double block on one of the Oxen here. And there it is, Inspired Charge of Ken Yukihiro's own.
Now Ken Yukihiro can use the 1/1 tap his creature.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty cool.
That's true. But he's going to play his own Gallant Cavalry and get 2 more blockers back. Not too bad. And there we go. Sure enough, we saw exactly that play, Paulo. Uses a wand to turn a tapped Ox into an untapped Ox. Boom. So Bob Whalen falling to 3 life off of that attack, and there is a Bone Dragon.
Yeah, but that's not going to be enough. He's in 3 life facing 4 attackers, so he needs another blocker. And I don't believe he has one. He has a Herald, but he can't cast it.
Another land was a draw there for Ken. Yep, Herald of Faith in hand for Bob Whalen.
Yeah, I think Bob was perhaps a little bit too, aggressive in this game. He didn't try to block very much. He tried to kill his opponent with the Glorious Charge, or not Glorious Charge.
Inspired Charge.
Inspired Charge. Why is this so hard? With the Inspired Charge. And in the end, it just didn't work out. Whereas I feel like if he had sat back, he had a Bone Dragon, and then he could actually have won. But again, he didn't know his opponent was going to have, his own Inspired Charge.
Right.
And then also the 2 blockers with 1 card.
So Ken Yukihiro ties things up here in round 9 versus Bob Whalen. 1 game apiece here as we head into our sideboards yet again. And Ken Yukihiro kind of transformed his deck a little bit from game 1 to game 2. We'll see if he does the same thing again for game number 3. Keep Bob guessing.
Well, this is a spot where Bob shouldn't be guessing. He should be watching Ken Yukihiro like a hawk.
Okay.
And figuring out what Ken Yukihiro is actually doing. Like, it's very hard to, those guys boarding in 20 cards.
Yeah.
Which is, when you have 1 card, you're like, well, I can take out this card and put in the same card and you're not going to notice. But 20 cards is a lot. So you have to do some, sleight of hand for your opponent to not notice. Or they could just be looking at their deck list, their deck while you're doing that, then they won't see it. But
Ken Yukihiro making some decisions here as we can see him rifling through his deck and taking some cards out here as we enter into game 3.
Yeah, it's also not like, it's a different situation than we saw before. Again, what Ben Stark did, he radically changed his deck from white-red aggro to blue-green mill. And Ken Yukihiro didn't do that. So
no.
it's not like Bob has cards that are horrible against blue-white, but would be great against, blue-green. The decks were not that different. So Bob doesn't have to worry that much on whether Ken is going to change his deck or not. He can just, submit and then see what happens because the cards that he wants are good either way. Like Ken's deck is still going to be ones and flyers.
Ken Yukihiro, a member of Team Musashi.
Yeah, that is a team that won last year.
They
right?
did.
They're the reigning
champions. And I think we're going to know by the end of this Pro Tour who's locked that up for heading into the finals for the World Championship.
Yeah, I think it's looking really good for Ultimate Guard. They're all, very far ahead, so it would be surprising if they didn't make the top 2. But I think second place is still up for grabs.
Pro Tour, of course, held right here in Minneapolis, Party City, USA, as we're known, next weekend. Pro Tour 25th anniversary, so it's going to be a blowout. We've got a team Pro Tour, and Paulo said, you said that this was the Pro Tour you've been the most excited for.
Yeah, I mean, it's by far the biggest in terms of how much it means, and you're playing with your friends, and everyone's practicing so much. Like, a lot of people are not even here.
Right.
Because there are people who are here but are not playing in the GP just because they're practicing. Like, I've talked to people that are in this exact spot. So it really means a lot, and everyone is trying very hard.
Do you think you get the boost from playing with your friends, too, even though you're playing across 3 separate formats?
I mean, I don't know how much of a boost you get necessarily in that regard, but it's still better for the better teams because, you have to win 2 out of 3 matches as opposed to 1 out of 1 match. So if they just randomly said, well, every game now is best of 7 and not best of 3, like every match, that would just favor the better players, and I think it does that too. It's not like Team Limited, where the deck building aspect is also hard, and that gives a huge edge to the people who are better. But yeah, I think, as a general rule, yes, if you expect to be favored against your opponent, then that will give you an even bigger edge. But I don't know about being friends or not, or that mattering. I think it's perfectly fine to play Team Constructed without even communicating. Like, I would be fine playing Team Constructed with someone who didn't speak the language that I speak. Like, if I just, Shota Yasoka.
Sure.
Like, he can speak Japanese, I'll speak Portuguese or English, and we're fine. We just not talk to each other, and that's perfectly fine. Whereas in Team Limited, I don't think that would be fine because you have to talk about deck building, like who's going to get each card. You talk to the games a lot more. Team Constructed is more like, each person does their own thing, and that's fine.
All right, here we go. Players drawing opening hands for game number 3 here in extra turns, round number 9. Grand Prix Minneapolis. Be coming back tomorrow morning to draft. Very excited to see that. I love watching draft.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And I wonder who's on the play here. I wonder if Bob chose play or draw. Because Ken Yukihiro did show he can play a grindy game.
Yeah.
He has like the ones and stuff, but he also had a bunch of flyers that he played. And as a general rule, if you have like Wrath attacks, it lends itself more to being on the draw than on the play, and we know there's a Cleansing Nova in Bob Williams' deck. But I could see it going either way, actually. I think he chose to play.
So Ken Yukihiro on the mulligan here. Bob Whalen likes his opening 7. We'll see. Another big question is if he managed to switch his deck around again.
Yeah, pulled the switcheroo.
The old switcheroo.
I don't think he did. Yeah, he's still playing blue-eye.
Looks like he kept it the same, so it might have been a case of what you mentioned, which is I probably misbuilt my deck from the start and realized it after talking to some people about it.
Yeah. And, you don't have infinite time for deck building.
No.
Sometimes you're like, okay, I'll build this, and then someone says something, and you're like, oh, yeah, you're totally right. And then you change it.
Okay, here we go. Ooh, a bit of an earthquake here in Minnesota. Oresco Swiftclaw hits the table for Ken Yukihiro. We had thunder and lightning earlier. Why not a bit of an earthquake?
Yeah, and we actually had a lot of thunder. Not necessarily here, but people trying to get here. Like, there's a handful of people that wanted to play in the GP and missed it.
Yeah, flights got canceled.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a dream.
There we go. Militia Bugler finding a gallant cavalry for Ken Yukihiro.
Yeah, now it's interesting. Assuming Bob Whalen does nothing, is Ken just going to play that into the Cleansing Nova? Well, that assumption's gone already. He did something. But assuming he had done nothing, then I think it's an interesting spot. Maybe you just don't play.
Ooh, Skeleton Archer is going to take down Orisco Swiftclaw.
Yeah, and the 3-2 is not going to attack, which I think is fine. But perhaps if the 3-2... I think if the 3-2 had attacked before the Skeleton Archer, Kenny would have just taken it because he's playing, the Gallant Cavalry, which is 2 2-2s. So he knows those will trade with the 3-2. So he wouldn't want to trade the 2-3 Vigilance for it. They all have Vigilance, but, I believe he would have just gotten in for a free 3 damage if he had attacked with the Rogue.
Pegasus Courser for Bob Whalen. Joining the team. Sift in hand for Ken Yukihiro, as well as Luminous Bombs that we see there.
Oh, Swamp. That's interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is a Psychic Symbiont.
We've got a little bit of Esper going on here for Yukihiro.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, no Chromium, which we did see from the other Esper deck.
That's true.
But yeah, I believe he's just splashing for Psychic Symbiont.
Okay.
I don't see anything else that he'd be worth splashing. Because Lich's Caress is really good, but it's double black. I don't think he'd be splashing for that.
Would you splash for something like a Strangling Spores?
I don't think so. I don't think the card's that good. Like, obviously you play it if you're black. And I would only splash for it if I had a lot of free sources and I didn't have much removal. I think it doesn't kill most of the things you actually need to kill. Like, a card like Lich's Caress is infinitely better.
An all-out attack here. They all have Vigilance from Ken Yukihiro. Hired Blade is going to trade with that Militia Bugler, and here's another Gallant Cavalry.
Yeah, the Skeleton Archer attacking is weird.
Just a Skeleton Archer on Bob's side of the table.
There's a lot of Gallant Cavalries.
Cancel that order, another Gallant Cavalry. We're at a night convention here.
Hold your phone or something like that.
The phone. Hold the phone.
Hold the phone.
More knights.
Yep.
Hold the phone. We've got knights on the table.
And yeah, the splashing for the sport thing is really what we talked about a little bit before. Like, if you're splashing for a card, there's a cost, right? A percentage of the games, you're going to draw your Swamp and not be able to cast your double blue spell. And a percentage of the games, you'll draw the splash card and not be able to cast it. So the card has to be great when you do cast it to make up for the fact that a lot of the time, it's hurting you. And I don't think -3/-3 for 4 mana is that good. It's good enough to justify that. Which is why I don't even love the splash from Bob Whaley. Even though the cards he's splashing are better. There's like Lightning Strike and I don't believe he has Electrify, but yeah, he has, Spit Flame. He also has a Shock that I wouldn't be splashing.
Shock has another tick mark against it as well for being much better early on in the game when you might not have access to your splash.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason Shock is good is because it costs 1. Like, people aren't very happy to play Explosive Apparatus, for example, but I feel like that's actually better in a deck like with 3 red sources than Shock is. Because you're just more likely to be able to play it, and by the time you get your red mana for Shock, you don't care about the 2/2s anymore.
I've actually never thought about it that way. The only reason it's good is because it costs 1.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cost 1 on a splash most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, always, ooh, that's bad. I mean, for Bob. It's great for Ken.
Oh, sleep here from Ken Yukihiro. Wow.
He just presents it. He's like, yeah,
here you go. Everything's asleep. Wow, and all of Ken Yukihiro's creatures have Vigilance too. Not like, I don't know if that makes much of a difference, but it just makes for an impressive attack here.
Yeah, I think Bob needs a Cleansing Nova here, which is not even that good because his board is better. So he would just be killing his own board. He really needs a Fog, but we know he doesn't have that. So he does have Cleansing Nova, and it's what he needs, or he is probably just dead.
Wow. You can just see the power of sleep here from Ken Yukihiro. Not only is it good to get 8 hours a day, but it's important to make your opponent's creatures take a nap too.
Yeah, he will actually survive here. He gets to Lich's Caress one of the 2/2s. And then he has to Child of Night the other one, and then he's fine. But if Ken Yukihiro has any way of removing that Child of Night, then that's game over. Unless, it's Transmogrifying 1, in which case it will just be replaced by an Ox.
I see a Dwindle in Ken's hand. Well, that's not quite good enough.
It's close, yeah. It stops the lifelink, but yeah, it's not going to win the game immediately.
Ooh, there's a meteor golem.
But he just played his fixed
Oh,
land.
no!
Yeah. So close, yet so far. Kind of like you with that memorizing question.
Yes. Accurate. And the thing is, Bob's board is, you know, pretty impressive if it wasn't all taking a nap right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once Bob untaps, then he's going to have a pretty decently sized board.
Including a bone dragon.
Yeah, but Kenny Hero has Psychic Symbiont in hand. And then he also has the Meteor Golem. And if he just... You know, if he
Dwindle.
attacks, yeah, if he attacks with everything here, Bob Whaling will go to 4. So he does have a potential, you know, 2-turn play of playing Dwindle on the Shadow Knight, then attacking with... What is it? Why is it tapped? Oh, then attacking with everything, putting his opponent down to 2, then playing the Symbiont, and then playing the Meteor Golem and the Bone Dragon, and that does eventually win him the game.
Okay, so Ken is choosing to attack with all of the creatures here, of course. One knight goes down. Down goes the Child of Night. 2 will get through, but 2 life gain in the process for Bob. And all of the creatures wake back up from their hibernation.
Yeah, now if Ken draws a land for Meteor Golem, he already has a land, but it's when it comes to play tap. So again, another cost for the splash. Then he can play Meteor Golem on the Bone Dragon, and the Bone Dragon is still a ways away from being able to come back.
Just 4 cards, I believe, in the graveyard for Bob Whalen. And the Bone Dragon needs to eat 7 of them.
Yeah.
Plus pay 5.
Yeah, and so the Symbiont needs 2 turns to attack, but it will probably have those 2 turns unless Bob draws something.
Yeah, Bob Whalen here has to pass the turn back to Ken Yukihiro, who is currently on 18 life. Bob on 4.
Yeah, so he did draw Meteor Golem, so we're probably going to see Meteor Golem on the Bone Dragon, and then just an attack for 3 in the air, which is threatening to close out the game in 1 turn.
Yeah, there's that island that he drew right at the front of his hand. Both players tied at 1 game apiece, so whoever wins this game will start day 2 off tomorrow fresh with a perfect record.
Yeah, whoever wins this game is going to have celebration dinner.
Oh, absolutely.
And whoever loses this game is going to have, like, PD sulking dinner.
Oh, we're just going to dwindle.
Okay. That is curious. Oh, wow, there's Invoke the Divine.
Oh,
wow. No one's ever been so punished by a play in history of Magic.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, wow. Invoke the Divine is going to take care of this dwindle. Bob Whalen will gain 4 life, 2 back up to 8. And he's going to be able to take a nice snack here of this Psychic Symbiont as well.
Yeah, that is a very nice freebie.
Oh, Transmogrifying Wand.
Yeah, I really... Unless he doesn't actually have a Meteor Golem in hand, but I think he just does.
Yeah.
I really don't agree with this play. I would have just played the Meteor Golem here. And that's even before I saw the Invoke the Divine. That's even more of a reason. Because I think letting your opponent block is not actually good for you.
So Ken actually going to turn the Diamond Mare into an Ox here, leaving the Bone Dragon alone to do its thing. Which is getting in for 5, and Ken's life total is pretty high, so there's that. He's going to fall down to 14.
Yeah, the life total is pretty high, but at the same time, 5 is a pretty decent chunk of damage.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, Bob is not threatened anymore. Bob is now at 8. He gained 4 from Invoke the Divine.
Scholar of Stars from Yukihiro. Finds another land. And... Yep. Now we're going to see the Transmogrifying Wand on the Bone Dragon, giving him an Ox. So it's still in the graveyard, by the way.
Yeah, we could see Bob trying to, you know, chump attack with some of his Vigilance creatures. He has a 2/2 Vigilance and a 2/3 Vigilance. So if 2 of those go to the graveyard, then he can just return his Dragon, which might just be worth it.
Herald of Faith hits the table for Bob. Something else that we've got to transform for Ken Yukihiro. So it'll gain Bob more life over the course of the game every time it attacks. 2, in fact.
Yeah, Ken Yukuhiro is playing as someone who's like extremely scared of a troublesome permanent.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a planeswalker.
Yeah,
So,
like
my
some kind of
only way of
huge-
dealing with the planeswalker is this meteor golem, so I'm just not going to cast it. Hooray, there it is.
All right, Meteor Golem is going to take care of the Herald of Faith for Ken Yukuhiro, add a 3/3 to the board as well.
Yeah, now I think we could actually see an attack. The problem is that even if the Bone Dragger does come back, it would just be transformed again. So it won't accomplish much, but it will deal 5 damage and turn it into an Ox and remove that charge.
Because the next 7 cards after you have exiled the first are much harder to get.
Oh yeah, unless he starts millstoning himself.
Divination for Ken.
Yeah, pretty good spot. And I think here... Yeah, it's a complicated. No one can really attack. Which I guess has to favor the person with Bone Dragon. Ooh, there's a flyer.
All right, Sky Scanner. For Ken Yukuhiro, draws a card.
Yeah, there's Cleansing Nova. And there's a lot of artifacts in Ken Yukuhiro's board. There's
That's
3
true.
of them. So you might just see that. Oh, and there's the Luminous Bonds too. So that's actually a very good Cleansing Nova.
There we go.
Wait, creatures? Ooh, I don't like that. I feel like he has a better board. So if he could
just
get rid
kills all of the artifacts.
Yeah, he could have rid of
And
enchantments. So he got rid of Luminous Bond. He gets back his Pegasus immediately. And then he kills the Meteor Golem, the Sky Scanner, and the Transmogrifying Wand and loses absolutely nothing.
Right.
So I think that's a huge mistake from Bob. I feel like he didn't care about the creatures. He had the better board.
Yes.
Other than the 1/1 flyer.
All right, so we're starting things off from 0 here, other than a Transmogrifying Wand in play from Ken Yukuhiro. Now a Scholar of Stars, drawing him yet another card.
Yeah, and now Bob just doesn't have a way to block
look at
anything.
this. Gearsmith Guardian, and it's a 5/5 thanks to the Scholar of Stars in play. No creatures for Bob.
I feel like if Ken Yukuhiro had a Cleansing Nova of his own, he'd just cast it.
Yeah.
And do what Bob
that
Whalen
thing.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bone Dragon comes back here, exiling a mess of cards.
Did he just main phase that? Why would he main phase that?
Not sure. 1 land in hand for Bob, too.
Yeah, so I guess he's just dead.
Yeah. And there is the handshake. Here in round 9, Ken Yukuhiro versus Bob Whalen. Ken Yukuhiro winning 2-1. We'll start tomorrow at 9-0, one of our undefeated players. Congratulations to him, and well done to Bob Whalen as well, starting off day 2 at 8-1. Not too shabby. We'll be back here to draft tomorrow, so I'm looking really forward to that, Paulo. And we've seen some great magic here today as well. Really interesting stuff. And I mean, sometimes you're like, Cleansing Nova, gotta kill all the creatures. But it's modal. There's other options on there as well.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I mean, obviously, you know, it's the end of the day. It's pretty late. People are tired. And you sometimes just forget that the card does that or don't even think about it. So I definitely understand where he's coming from.
A lot of magic played today, too. Like,
oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. So he'll be beating himself up a little bit for that. But, you know, he's still 8-1. He can still win the tournament. So
that's true.
He'll be upset for a while, and then he'll be like, yeah, whatever. He probably played pretty well to get to wait on to begin with.
Absolutely. So. Well, that'll do it here for us on day number 1 coverage of Grand Prix Minneapolis. We'll be back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time. So set your alarm clocks because you don't want to miss M19 Draft. For Maria and Paulo, have a good night.